Alright.
Other than hit hard and get hit hard.
Alright, well, we are back from our break here.
Beans.
I got drink.
I got coffee.
I went right next and got a mason jar.
Alright, so, welcome back everyone in the stream.
Living that hipster life.
So,
okay, I'm sorry.
we will. So Kass did his thing. Flew off after the
Feedback
doggo.
in a few minutes, I'm assuming.
Yeah, be back. It probably not even that long, but just like a minute maybe. But the rest of you are gathering around this woman, right?
Decided to walk back very
Yeah,
slowly.
probably. Either they followed behind Kass or they came back. I'm guessing.
Well, we're all here but Cass.
Yeah.
No, Kass is here, but later.
Yeah, later. So, so you guys, this woman, you cast Cure Wounds on her, so she comes to
Yeah, so
and
she's
sorta,
conscious, just laying on the ground in a pool of her own
Yeah,
blood.
it takes her a second to, she like literally got slashed across the neck, so she, not.
She's only got 4, so she's not feeling great.
Yeah, she's not doing so
Not
hot.
too bad for a commoner.
She is just a commoner, yeah. So, but she's still kind of,
a little bit less than half.
She starts holding her like her neck and stuff and looks around after you cast a spell, and it's sort of like it takes her a second to figure out what's going on, and when she sees the body of the hobgoblin, she sort of like jumps back, or like she's still on the ground probably, so she crawls back, starts to try to crawl away from it in fear, and starts whimpering again.
Anna's gonna try and comfort her and give her a hand to her feet.
She she kind of pulls back away from you in fear for a second, and then after a couple seconds, she takes your hand and gets out, and she says, "Thank you."
Casually, as we're talking, I start using prestidigitation to scrape blood off of her clothes for her.
Okay.
Just splatting on the ground around us.
Okay, sounds good.
Nox just looks at her and says, "So you can do magic, right?"
Magic? No.
That's why you were taken.
I can't do. I don't know any magic. No.
Then why was he interested in?
I don't know. And she actually almost starts. It looks like she's about to break out into tears just because of from the stress. She's kind of overloaded.
This has been a trap for us.
Nox?
We did make it very obvious that we're all magic users. Well, almost all of us.
Speaking of which, Nox. Wow.
Yes, Ellie?
Yeah, you didn't have those tricks last time I met you.
Yeah.
Well, I also had a lot more hair and a husband.
I mean, that. I guess you were paralyzed, but that would have been very useful for the caterpillar things.
Pardon me, but I don't know many grieving widows that become magical.
To be perfectly honest, I didn't know that I could do that until just now. But
Insight check.
quite exciting.
Yeah.
I would also like to be insightful regarding.
No, that's.
Well, she couldn't cast darkness until this morning. So.
Yeah, because I don't think it's a lie actually. So, but I mean, you can still
not.
cast insight, and if
I'm
you want,
casting insight.
or not cast, roll insight.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys
Cast
are,
me some insight.
seems like she's telling the truth.
Alright, well, surely you had some sort of magic before this. Casting darkness of some sort is not beginner's magic.
Yes, I don't know that spell.
We would probably know of it.
Yeah.
You're right. The magic bolts, I've been able to do that for. That was quite exciting.
I would agree, but I don't think I saw any of it. Other than one of them streaking over my head earlier.
Where's the kobold?
I'm
He's
assuming whimpering in a corner still.
yeah, he's in the corner somewhere in this room, in this cavern.
I want a specific location,
Uh,
just so I can keep an eye on them.
I am going to hold my hand out to Nox for a high five.
High five.
Yeah.
Magic Bros.
So the
There he is.
Magic woman team. You got darkness team.
so the woman she she like sort
I
of
like that he's standing there.
once you guys finish talking,
His
then
arms are literally tied.
then the
Fine, he
woman
can still
says
run away.
the woman says so I was just finding some firewood and kindling in the woods, and then I was just attacked by that thing there, and she points at the hobgoblin.
Did it say anything distinctive? Like any words that stuck out?
No, it came up to me and yelled at me and told me to told me to come with it and grab me. It didn't give me much of a choice, and it kept snarling at me.
Maybe you're right, Anna. Maybe it was a trap.
I don't see any other reason to have taken this girl if she indeed doesn't have any magic abilities. We did, like I said, make a show.
Yes, for kind of that exact reason.
Not exactly the ones I expected to draw in with that, but
Yeah.
To be honest, I wasn't expecting hobgoblins at all.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting Avriels.
So Kass is probably back by now.
If-
as a side.
if
Yeah, you're
they're
back now.
both our enemies, I don't even know if I wish to learn who the leader of them is. Bring them all together like this.
Yeah, it seems like a rather odd combination.
Do you guys? If you guys, what do you guys do? You let me know. I'm assuming you want to like look around at the bodies, just knowing.
So, I say it turning to the woman who was previously bleeding out.
Mhm.
What is your name?
Oh god, let me go to my notes real quick. Sorry. My name is Aaron. I'm Aaron.
Well, Aaron, where are you from?
I'm just from a little place that not too far from here. I live with I take care of my dad and my husband there.
Perhaps
Was
you
that your
should stay
basket
with
of
us.
pine cones?
I'm gonna give that to her.
Oh, what? Sorry.
Was that your basket of pine cones?
Yes, yeah, that's what I was getting before I was attacked.
Let me go get that for you real quick. I say,
Menacing.
having it and coming back,
Right.
taking a whole like 7 seconds.
Yeah. So you.
It's probably like a minute later.
So you. You. That's lovely. What's the sewage coming out of Matt? It'll be in the VOD now. No,
What?
I'm just messing. I don't care.
Get the rest of the.
So you bring her back the pine cones, and she kind of like looks at you and like nods and says thanks or something like that. But it doesn't look like she's really too focused on that right now. She kind of is just taking in the fact that she's not dead, and so she sort of like looks around at you guys and says, "How did you all know to come save me?"
Well, we heard your screams.
Yes, it was rather convenient. The second we got close enough to hear your screaming, you were attacked.
Well, I'm quite lucky then, because I don't know. I don't think I would have lived if I had been left here.
I mean, certainly not. I mean, you barely lived when we were here.
Yes, was I really slashed across the neck? Because I swore I felt that, and then I just woke up.
Yeah, that
Nods,
happened.
Nod, as the only person to have seen it happen, nods. That definitely did happen.
Oh,
Yeah, you probably still have a little bit of a mark, even once it's fully healed, but it shouldn't scar too badly,
yeah.
since it's only been partially healed. That's the only wound she has.
Yeah. And she'll like sort of like feel around her neck more and be like, well, I don't even know what to say. I suppose just thank you. Would you at least let me bring you to my place and we could perhaps make you some herbal tea.
Is it close by?
Yes, it's not too far from here, and it's really just a little ways away, a quarter mile or so. I'm surprised no one else heard me
Looking
screaming.
at Ulf and Kass, yes, I think my companions could use a rest, and be better to do so in a home rather than a cave.
As long as you promise there are no hobgoblins.
Oh, no, we don't normally see hobgoblins here. I didn't even know that's what that was. Goblins sometimes, but
That's what
normally
You're full of surprises, Nox.
Well,
Yeah, and so she sort of like collects herself as someone like gets set up. Do you guys? So you guys are gonna like search the bodies?
yeah, at this point, definitely.
Okay, yeah.
Anna would go back out to the tunnel and look for that hobgoblin that had a bow?
Yeah.
What kind of weapon was it?
It was a longbow, yeah.
I'm
I
going
don't
to give
want to
the
scavenge that up
lady
and any arrows that it
basket.
had still.
the basket that has her scarf.
Yeah.
I think I can.
And
Actually,
the
can I
fine-
use longbows? I can't. I don't think I have longbow proficiency. Shortbow.
I do.
So yeah, there's
I
a
have whatever proficiency I want. And
Okay,
Yeah.
are there any shortbows in this mess?
Yeah, I
uh
would also like to look for a short bow.
the two of the goblins have short bows. So there are two short bows. Let me actually look. The hobgoblins both have long bows. They both had long swords, and the goblins had two of them had scimitars, two of them had I guess like short swords as well. Probably, yeah.
Nox will just collect some arrows.
Yeah, Anna would look for a short bow and
Yeah.
a quiver and
quiver,
some
so you get one.
arrows.
Yeah, you're able
Any
to
coin that you happen to find, as well as probably an extra dagger to give to the woman, since she just got attacked and might
Oh, yeah,
need
yeah.
some protection later on.
Yeah, there's actually a dagger on the first hobgoblin that was in the cavern that you can give to her. She kind of like looks like afraid to take it. The woman does, but she'll take it nonetheless and sort of like put it in her belt or her side, in her pocket. And on the other one, so there's two longbows. Like I said, there's arrows. We'll say like there's like 40 arrows. So they both had like full quivers. And
Short bow, quiver.
How many people are getting arrows?
Yeah, that's the next question.
yeah, that's a good question. Actually, well,
I
let's
want
see.
arrows.
Actually, no, there would be.
Nox wants arrows.
They would have had 20 arrows each, so it would be 80 arrows actually, because for the
They
goblins
used a
too.
few, so
Yeah, we'll say like
down
70
a little
then.
bit, but probably more than any of us would carry.
Yeah, we'll say just 70 arrows, whatever. Probably.
I imagine
won't matter
I'd
too much.
probably spend a little while cleaning the equipment off once I grabbed it off with the goblins, since I doubt it's very sanitary.
The
So I'll take
first,
20 arrows.
the original hobgoblin in the cavern, he actually he had some like he had a few gold pieces. He had like 3 gold and like 7 silver. And the other hobgoblin did as well. I will say like 4 gold flat. So they had a good bit of change on them. That would take you a while, but nothing like too astounding. However, the other thing is that so Anna, you would find this going back out into the tunnel. You would see when you search the body of the hobgoblin out there, you don't find anything too valuable, except you find another black stone, same as the other one.
Earth? Well,
Not-
we know this is related.
It's not
Can I
shattered,
pocket it?
by the way. It's not shattered, just
Yeah.
like the other one. It's intact.
Yeah, I'll pocket that. I'll probably grab the longbow if it looks like it's of decent quality too, even if I don't really.
Yeah,
Well, I'm
it's
using it
decent enough
myself.
quality.
The two stones fit together.
No,
They're spheres, aren't they?
they're both just kind of like roughly, yeah, they're like spheroid, sort of like eggs almost. They're not actual eggs. It's pretty obvious that
We got
Are they
just-
oblique?
they're not
spheres?
eggs. No, they're oblique spheroids, something like that. Or like they almost look like just roughly roundish. little ovular.
So we got 2 orbs and a shattered one also. Alright.
So, the
What?
it's the Spanish word for bubble. I love it. Burbuja. It's a great word. Anyways, so you find that unfortunately there's no other valuables on these guys. But
did you say how much gold there was?
yeah, in total, well, there's in total 7 gold and 7 gold and 7 silver. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how we want to deal with splitting that.
I mean, I'll just take like 1 of each. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of
That'll
each is
work
fine
for
with
me.
me.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, hey, you could even give the extra to the lady if you want. Yeah, you don't have to. Sorry.
She didn't help kill it.
She earn it?
I don't know, but she does.
She's just the damsel in distress.
She does offer you
I'm fine
guys
giving it to her.
to come back to her house. Her family house with her.
So 1 gold, 1 silver.
Yeah. Do you guys go with her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Take a short rest there.
Yeah, so you guys are led out of the tunnel, or you lead her out of the tunnels, probably. And when you reach out, this whole thing took half an hour, maybe. Afterwards, when you're talking to her, maybe a little longer. She's recovering, probably just wanted to sit still for a little bit, regain her composure. But still, not a whole bunch of time has passed. It is right now like mid-afternoon. And you're only, I would say, you guys know that you're only maybe 2 hours away from Snowfeld at this point, so you're really not that far away. But she, so this woman, Erin, she leads you guys a short walk, just like maybe 10 minutes, not that long at all. It's actually going towards Snowfeld as well, parallel to the road. And you go on the road a little ways and break off on another little path, and eventually you make it to a little farming house. It's a pretty decent size one. It's not like a tiny shack. And there's currently some smoke coming out of the top through a little chimney, and it's a very nice little picturesque cabin, sort of. I guess.
While we're heading to the cabin, Anna would probably pull the stone out and mention it to the rest of the party, like, found this on one of the hobgoblins, by the way.
Oh.
And would look at what's his name? Grizzles?
Grizzles, yeah.
Grizzlies.
Yeah. I'd hold that up to him. By the way, do you know what these are? Have you seen anything like this before?
And he goes, he's like, no, no, nothing, no, definitely not.
Insight.
Yeah.
I just don't believe him based on how
I
he's
don't
saying
believe
that.
him at all. I'm not gonna reply.
Yeah, he's definitely lying. 1,000,000% he's lying. Oh no.
Sure,
The
no,
fact
no,
that Ulf even rolled, it makes me worried. Might have another kobold death incoming. No, but yeah, so he's like,
Anna will set a hand on his shoulder. We know you're lying. If you tell us what you know, I might consider letting you go instead of making you spend the rest of your life in prison or killed.
Really? You're gonna let me go?
Only if you tell us everything you know.
And so he's sort of like, I don't know. Is he? Are you letting him walk alongside you, or are you carrying him again?
For now.
Right. So he actually will sort of turn his head away, and sort of think and talk to himself, and he actually talks to himself out loud in Draconic, so Dragri can understand. Yeah, he's like, shut up. It's it's imagine Smeagol from Lord of the Rings, back and forth with himself almost.
Except Meatwad.
He's like, should I tell them? If I tell them, they might not let me go. And if they do let me go, I could die when he finds out anyway. So.
In Draconic, I am going to say, if we do give you your freedom, you're welcome to stay with us, and we will provide protection.
And he's like, oh, because he had forgotten that you spoke Draconic, even though he knew. He's just kind of dumb, you know. But he
He's the kobold.
yeah, but he's like, oh.
As they start talking back and forth, I would use the spell slot and cast comprehend languages.
Okay, so now
so I can at least understand what they're saying part way through.
Yeah. So you understand? So you kind of get that last part, and then from here on out, you understand that he says to Elowen, he's like, it's not that simple. I don't know.
That's generous of you, Elowen. In common, but I don't know if you realized that I had cast comprehend languages, but yeah. Responding to what you said.
You know
Everyone
Draconic,
would
do
have seen
you?
you cast it.
I cast comprehend languages while you were talking.
Yeah.
I was distracted.
So yeah.
You
know
know
like, wait, what?
Draconic, do you?
Well, sometimes.
So, you would have seen her cast a spell. It would have been very obvious.
Yeah.
She can choose to not have noticed it happen.
I choose to not have noticed.
Okay.
Just remember, spells aren't cast silently. Most
Most of the time.
Pretty forceful when you chant. Anyway.
So
yes, to what you were saying, I would be fine allowing this one to accompany us if he gets over his hatred of our kind.
it's not, and he talks in common now, but he's like, it's not a simple. Eventually, somewhere, they would find me.
And we would deal with them accordingly.
If you're with us, they would have to deal with us as well.
What about when you all die? Eventually.
I'm
you
sure
going to
I
die
will live
before you?
much longer than you.
Yeah, you're right.
I am an elf, after all.
And it looks like that kind of makes him sad to think about his own death. You know, existential questions aren't really his protege, apparently. Or his protege? What word am I looking for?
His progeny. Yeah.
Don't
Do we know how long kobolds live?
Oh, you know what? The map is actually just not showing it.
Do I know how long kobolds usually live?
I don't know, but they don't live very long, so...
Yeah, I'm guessing, orc...
Meta knowledge is 50, generally 50 up to 120.
Yeah.
If they are healthy.
Yeah, so
which
he's
they
like...
rarely are because they're like fucking ants in an ant hill.
Yeah.
He's like, fine. I'll tell you what I know. I didn't say this before, but I recognized that hobgoblin.
Oh, you've met him before.
Yes. By the way, out of character, I actually forgot if I told you guys the tidbit. Did he ever tell you guys the name of his master or whatever?
He just keeps saying master.
Okay. I didn't think he had. I just was
get in
making
trouble.
Sure. Okay.
I don't think he's given us any useful information other than saying that he was sent to go loot.
Yeah.
And he also
monastery.
pointed us in generally the direction that he came from.
All right. So
I don't
he.
know if I would have called that useful.
Yeah. So he says. At this point he says.
We at least know
Fuck.
it's in a mountain.
So, part of with my group of kobolds, our master, he made a deal with someone. I don't even know who. Us kobolds aren't told anything more than what we need to know, but our master made a deal with someone, and it involved us working together with those things, goblins and hobgoblins, you called it, and taking over the monastery. And so he sort of is wincing, like he thinks he's gonna get in trouble for saying this almost.
There wasn't much of the monastery left to take over.
Was that your doing then?
I was not a part of that.
Well, clearly you were killed by the ghost.
I just know that a lot of my brothers went in that raid, and that it was successful, obviously, but that's all I know about that. But I saw that hobgoblin at one point when the negotiations were being worked out, and I recognized him. I don't think he even saw me, but.
So, your master is a kobold also, right?
No, master is much stronger.
A dragon?
Something like that. I don't know the name for it.
Something like a dragon, but not.
A wyvern?
What's a wyvern?
Drake.
What's a drake?
A wyvern is like a dragon that's long.
And doesn't have 4 limbs, I believe?
Yeah, they only have...
wings for
Yeah. Well, they have 4 limbs. I think like the other limbs are the wings, or whatever.
Yeah, they have
But,
like claws
they're
sticking out of the
like
wings that they can
Yeah.
walk on.
Yeah,
They're like Kass.
yeah. And he's like, no, it doesn't sound like that, no.
It's big like a dragon, right?
Oh yeah, it's big, and it
Scaled like you.
yeah, blue scales.
Scales. Does it have wings?
Yeah, that has wings. It's I don't know. I've never seen a dragon. I don't think he's a dragon. But he looks like what I know what dragons are like. I know the basics.
I look at Elwyn like, have you read about anything dragon-like but not a dragon that is blue?
What would I know of the draconic?
Right. Well, so I guess make me a history check.
History.
Let's see. I guess.
They're all the same, so...
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I guess it could be
All of
Arcana.
them except
I'm also proficient,
But-
but I don't know if my character would have heard it just wandering around in taverns or from noble education.
Part of it is, yeah. I mean, part of it is that like the lore for this specific part of my world is a little different from like normal, like Faeruni and whatever. But
yeah, you just have to decide what's common knowledge.
Yes, exactly. So so you would probably not know like anything about this. Elwyn, I'm trying to think. So Elwyn. Well, no, you know what? I'll let you and Nox also roll, because you guys are, have that musical thing, you've told stories. I'll let you guys both roll as well, if you want.
So it might have potentially been in a story we learned.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't
Oh
think...
my fucking God.
I don't think Kass or Ulf would know. Okay, there you go. Nice.
Maybe we both know the song.
So,
He's been a sheltered boy.
So,
Combo breaker.
so let's start with Elwyn. So Ulf knows like nothing. Sorry.
You do know nothing.
He knows like about dragons, general stuff, but not what this might be, because this is
He
much
knows
more.
as much as the kobold.
This is more specific, So Elwyn knows that there are I need to hold on. Let me open my. Where is it? Let me open my notebook I have, because I actually have notes on this. 1 sec. Give me 2 seconds. Find this notebook.
1, 2.
Ugh.
Alright, what is it?
Ugh. Okay. I have my notebook, and I just gotta get to the right page. Here we are. Okay. So, you know. So Elwyn and Anna and Nox would all know this, that in this world, dragons, or also like draconic creatures, the family, is split into like different groups, different subspecies or species.
Like kobolds.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, and I'm not going to talk about all the little ones, but out of the major ones, there are 5.
What?
Oh, out of the so I'm not gonna talk about the minor like ones like kobolds, but out of the major like actual dragon creatures or dragon-like creatures, you know what I mean. Then the big ones are there's dragons, there are drakes, there are wyverns, there are worms spelled with a Y, and I will actually have to describe what that is another time. It's not relevant here though. I'll just tell you that, like that.
Yeah, they're giants, but they're big.
Giants,
dragons.
Well, if memory serves, they're basically what you think of with as far as a wyvern.
I think.
But they don't have
Well,
the
I
stinging
think I
tail
might
or
have
any
a
of that.
different definition of what a worm is.
I think worms in our mythology are just they have the
Yeah.
four limbs.
No,
and
I'm
wings.
looking. I think a worm is actually a little different for this world. I have a specific idea what a worm is. I will try to find like a good description of what one is later, or like make a description.
We're
but,
dealing with something that's blue.
and the last
That's
one,
worms.
there are also sea serpents is the last category. So those are like the 5 main categories or like subcategories of great draconic creatures.
And then there are like salamanders, which are like
Maybe I don't know. But those are the main ones like in this world that you all would know of, all of you. And he's saying it's not a dragon. He's saying it's not a wyvern. It doesn't sound like a wyvern. I would say that drakes in this world are a little bit like bigger and more powerful than drakes are in like normal D&D. They are actually like
how powerful are Josh's?
yeah, drakes and joshes, yeah. And so the drakes are actually not even really that much smaller than actual dragons. It's just that the drakes are a bit different in like the way they their personalities are and like stuff like that.
Yeah, I think in normal lore they're just like a lot less intelligent.
Yeah, they're actually they're not really that too far
magical.
apart from dragons in this world, but they are different in some ways. And then sea serpents are also like pretty intelligent. They're just like dragons that don't have any limbs, and are in the water. But anyways, though, so you guys would know that. In fact, you guys would also know. Elwyn wouldn't know this, but Nox and Anna would. That so he had mentioned that it was blue. And you guys would both know that blue drakes are actually a pretty common creature, monster, whatever, in like the northern part of the continent, including like where you guys are now, like this island.
The northern hemisphere.
Nox turns to Anna and says, "In Alder's Landing, did they have a song about blue drakes? I remember that being very popular like a decade ago."
I think we might have sang it at one point when we were together. We might have been drunk at the time. I don't remember.
If it's a dragon-like creature with blue scales and wings, that might be what his master is.
And so he's listening. He's like,
It could also be a blue dragon.
he's like looking at. He's like, what's a drake? A drake? That's a new word. I haven't heard that before.
I said that earlier.
I'm not quite sure how to describe it, but they're not dragons, but they're like dragons.
I mean, that's like him. Yeah. Real nasty dude. But yeah.
Nasty, you say?
Bathe.
So you don't have any love for your master?
He's not just my master. He's my dad.
Excuse me? Your father.
Yeah, well, kinda.
No, his dad.
Kinda. He's just... well, I don't know. I wasn't really born, you see. But he made me.
Made you. I thought kobolds came from eggs naturally.
I'm pretty sure that's where they come from.
They have to be... We have to be imbued with draconic blood there. And empowered, and he's the one who
Out of
did
game.
that.
Are kobolds different in this world?
Slightly. Also, like
Because normally
let's
they
see.
just breed themselves.
Let me see.
Yeah,
There's one part in one page.
They can be imbued with dragon blood, but that's not how they're born. Generally.
I think I actually like base this. I have in mind a separate way, but I think it is roughly based off of something I saw in the monster manual or online
There's
somewhere.
dragon blood variants of kobolds which have been infused with dragon blood to make them more powerful by a dragon overlord. But they're still born from breeding and hatching out of eggs generally in D&D.
Hold on, I want to find this part because
Yeah, that definitely changes things if like whatever this is just like taking parts of its blood and creating kobolds out of nothingness.
Hold on.
That'd make it honestly a little bit cooler.
Yeah, I mean that is what I have in mind. So that is the way it is. But let me. I do have like a basis for this.
So kobolds in this situation are more like fucking orcs from Middle Earth, where they're just like coming out of spawning pits and shit.
Yeah, that's sort of
only
like
the movies.
I think it was I don't know where I saw it, but there was something about like how I saw in some bit of lore somewhere that that in some places they will actually just like appear near places that have dragons due to the draconic influence in the area, and that's sort of what I was basing this off of.
They congregate. They don't so much just appear, but they congregate to dragons because they worship dragons as gods.
Yeah. No, but
that's probably what you're thinking.
In this case, we're going to say that the kobolds are, and he would explain this. I won't do it on character, but he would explain sort of the basics of like the how he understands it. He probably doesn't have a great say in it. But basically, he is like he's sort of like spawned by his master.
Huh.
He will.
I guess I'd always just assumed that you reproduce like most creatures.
I mean, that can happen too, but I mean that happens, but this also happens. This is more common. Most of the time, kobolds are too aggressive and too prone to death to really have thriving communities elsewhere. So normally,
this boy has so much self-awareness of his own culture.
Normally,
prone to death, but you say that you will kill us, or you'll kill our kind and eat us.
Oh yeah, that's because that's me, and I'm powerful, and you guys, other ones though. Other ones die. They're stupid.
Fair enough.
The kobolds that do live on their own, that leave the areas that dragons and the drakes and the wyverns, was it? The ones that leave the areas influenced by those, they die out too quickly to really reproduce meaningfully. When they're spawned and kept under control, like me and my clanmates, then we don't die as quickly, and we do reproduce. But in the wild, reproducing doesn't make up for how weak we are compared to armies and such.
Maybe if you could get over your aggression to the other races, they would allow you to coexist with them.
No!
And then he spits on the ground again.
Why not?
Other races are weak, they don't have dragon blood.
You just said your own kind's weak.
Other ones, not me. I'm strong. Grizzles are strong.
Nox takes a deep breath and rolls her eyes.
And so, all right. So this was like while you guys are walking towards this lady's house, and so eventually you guys make it to. Oh yeah, I already described the house. It's like a nice little cabin sort of thing, a little farmhouse. And when you guys enter, she motions for you guys to enter, and then comes in behind you. You see that there is an older dude, and by older I mean he looks pretty grizzled. Like he looks like he's probably in his 70s, maybe even older. There is an old dude asleep in sort of like a comfortable looking chair. It's not like a fur chair. It's not luxurious. This is not that rich of a place, but it's a nice enough chair. Nice enough that he has fallen asleep and looks pretty comfortable. So she ushers you in, Aaron does, and then comes in behind you and closes the door and says, she like is kind of whispering. She's like, I'll put the tea on. We'll wake my dad up in a second when we're ready. He likes to be woken to and given his tea.
Get woke.
So, anyways, so she goes and makes the tea. Do any of you guys do anything? Cast minor illusion on the dude to wake him up, or the hellbox?
Are there any books lying around?
Anna is just gonna start playing her violin.
There are no books. There is, however, on one of the walls, there is a what's it called? A instrument. It is going to be a what's it called? The lyre. That's it. A lyre.
Does Anna know of any stories about good kobolds that exist?
Probably. I mean, if not, you can make one up on the spot. There's nothing stopping you.
Either way, if I know one or not, I'm just going to start singing about that, trying to convert this little guy to being a little less racist.
That's funny. Okay. Are you gonna try to like not wake up the dude though, not play too loud?
Yeah, I'm just
it's
playing
like
quietly,
it's
so
like a
everyone
lullaby.
in the main room in here.
I'm going to hum along with you after I find that there aren't any books.
Yeah, there's no books here. Just that lyre up on the wall. It looks like a pretty nice one.
Book rage.
But so you go ahead, maybe your performance check. It obviously doesn't really matter, but we'll see how effective it is at indoctrinating the kobold. Oh, nice. So
roll, but good mod.
So the kobold, when he like hears the beginning lines that it's that when he can tell it's about a kobold, he kind of like scowls and so doesn't appear too happy with the joke. But then once he like hears it and it starts to get going, it has like a pretty catchy little tune. And it does, it probably interests him more than a song about a human because it's actually relevant. So he starts paying attention and he actually listens. And he even chuckles at one joke that's like about kobolds. And then after it ends, he goes right back to being, scowly.
Sourpuss.
Yeah. So and I got you perplexed, but so that happens. The woman, Erin, she is like sort of on the other side in a attached room making some tea over a little cooking fire that's in there. I don't know if I described it, but the old man is like in front of like a little fireplace as well, so it's pretty comfortable in here. And after a couple minutes, then the woman Erin brings out the tea to you all, and sort of goes over and nudges the old man, and after a couple seconds he comes awake, and he goes like, oh, what, and he sort of like gets up, pushes himself up in his chair, and looks around. And he's like, oh, we have company. Who are? Oh my God! What happened to your neck? And he like points at his daughter's, this big scar that's on her neck.
I'm gonna take my finger to just kind of draw it across my neck.
And Erin, she like she sort of like tells him what happened briefly and says, something along the lines like these adventurers saved me, and at which point, so he like starts looking around again at you, each of you, and he has to like, you can tell he's like squinting his eyes a little bit. He obviously can't see too well, but he looks around at each of you and says, well, is that true? That my daughter was dying and you saved her?
Yes.
It's true.
And so he like sort of he actually tries to like stand up, but he's kind of weak, so it takes him a second. And Erin helps him, but he gets to his feet and he looks around. And he says, and he like just kind of takes this in for a second, and then he goes, "Damn it! Oh, I'm so pathetic. I'm too old. I couldn't even help out."
I mean, you wouldn't have even known.
Still, I could have done something if well, thank you all so much for saving
Turning into a kobold.
saving my daughter. She's the last bit of family that I have left in this world. Besides my son-in-law. Oh, bless his heart. But thank you. You have my deepest appreciation.
Of course.
And so
if I was playing a chaotic neutral character, I'd say something right about now, but I'm not.
Okay. So he looks at each of you some more. He says,
Does he look at the kobold sitting in the corner?
he hasn't seen the kobold yet. No, he's a little hard of seeing.
A small humanoid in the corner.
Yeah.
Must be a halfling.
He's like, so what brings you all to this part of Alderland? You all seem quite a bit out of place here. You promised food?
Yes, here.
Ah,
Specifically,
yes. Well,
I think he was more.
Aaron, I guess, Aaron, could you get some food for us? And she says, yes, of course, Father, and goes to actually prepare some food. Meanwhile, though, he sort of like looks around.
Okay, now let's talk details now that she's out of the picture.
Oh, yes.
Do you know Theravel, the wizard in Snowfeld?
Theravel? I don't think so. Name doesn't ring a bell.
Alright, well, he's a wizard in Snowfeld, and we're doing some contract work for him.
Oh, really?
Yes, there's been some disappearances lately. What happened to your daughter is somehow related.
What do you mean? She was just attacked. That happens occasionally here. How do you know?
There are these stones, and I pull it out. We keep finding them on individuals that are somehow related to the disappearances. And one of the hobgoblins that assaulted your daughter had one of these.
He'll like reach out to take one. I don't know.
I'll hand it to him.
He
as far
like
as I know, it's inert.
He takes it and he's like, this looks familiar.
How so?
I don't know why. But it looks familiar. Huh.
I suggest you rack your brain to find. That isn't the important.
You gotta understand, young woman, when you get to my age, it becomes hard to remember your birthday. Let alone...
I'm going to look at Nox and Anna and say, is this what it's like being human?
Nox looks at Elwyn and as a, 27-year-old woman says, I wouldn't know. But probably.
I am so sorry.
Oh, don't worry. We'll only be elderly for a decade. You'll be elderly for a couple of centuries if you're lucky enough to live that long.
That's a good bird.
Yes, but I still have a good few hundred years going for me.
I imagine once your eyesight goes, reading those books will be a little difficult.
Oh, jeez.
Tying a noose won't.
No, suicide is not the answer. Dear, settle down.
Now, do you really need to argue in my residence? I've had to deal with plenty of women arguing in my time before this.
What's that supposed to mean?
Nothing. I don't mean anything by it. I just think with a little quiet, I might be able to do a better job of remembering.
Fair enough. Do you have any literature?
Books? No, I don't got any use.
That's what I said.
I don't got any use for that. When I have a story to tell, which I got plenty, and then I just play it with my lyre.
Oh, you're a bard then?
I wouldn't give myself that credit. No, just an amateur. Just helps me remember things.
Before we go, you could teach us a song or two.
Huh. Perhaps. Now, let me think about this. And so he actually like sits down. If he wasn't before, he sits down and sort of like, just kind of thinks to himself, looks into the fire and stuff, and it says, just, give me a minute, basically.
Rubbing that stone.
Yeah, he actually is, like, holding the stone and sort of looks down at it occasionally. And, Alexis is confused, I think. So he looks down at it and for a good, like, 5 minutes he's doing this. Eventually, he sort of, like, I'm assuming you guys just pace, maybe play another song, hang out.
I assume the lady comes back at some point.
Yeah, actually, so she probably comes back a few minutes later and with some food. It's nothing too, crazy. It's like some bread, and what would go with bread in like a diet here? Some bread and like
probably soup or broth.
Oh, it would probably be like it'd probably be like a little basic, very basic sandwich, like a little bit, tiny bit of like ham or something, like little like strips of smoked ham or something like that. So it'd have some,
smoked, yes.
Yeah. So it has some
will
substance.
take hers and say thank you and untie the kobold and rip her sandwich in half and give the other half to him.
Yeah, and actually, when you do that, and the kobold starts like moving around now and stuff, then the old man actually like he sees the kobold. It's like, oh, one of those things. What is that doing here? And the kobold like spits in his direction. He likes to spit a lot.
No need to be rude. The man's feeding us.
I spit on the kobold.
Oh my god, he just like he looks sad when you do it now. He's just he's just sad.
Will you both just knock it off? It's getting disgusting.
Yeah, one day he'll learn not to spit.
The lizard man brings it on himself.
So, you know what? I won't even worry about asking you about the kobold.
Just know that he's under our control.
Yes, I'm not worried. You all seem capable enough. Well, I've thought about it. I don't remember when I saw whatever it was that reminds me of this, but it must have been when I was a soldier a long time ago. Had to have been. Yes, I can't really offer more than that. I just know those are the days when I actually had interesting stories of my own and wasn't just telling those stories and telling others and finding new stories. Eventually, long ago, I was in those stories.
You used to be an adventurer?
No, not an adventurer. I was not a wanderer, but when I was a soldier, things were quite a bit different here. Most of the people who were alive when I was a soldier are most of the people who were alive when I was a soldier are dead now, passed on.
I'm trying to come up with a sentence. Just give me a second.
Right? Yeah. We'll wait.
Would I have any idea, like, what he was a soldier during? Like, was there a war back when he would have been young enough to be a soldier?
It was not the Battle of Burning Bridge. That was only like 2 years ago.
It also wasn't the Civil War bullshit, because that was also just...
No.
That was just 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was 10 years ago. So, no, this was...
Presumably this man's been was a soldier, like...
So, you don't have to roll.
ago.
So, Nox and Anna both would know that, like, 50 years ago or so, that time period was a pretty rough time period in general. Like, there was a lot of conflicts going on, and like, going back from there even further before that time period, then it just, that was sort of like the end of a long couple 100-year period of troubles for this area of the world. Not everywhere, but this area of the world was sort of going through its, like, Viking age. And so the end of that age was sort of like about 50 years ago, and it culminated with like a couple big wars all at once in this kingdom.
The country was still consolidating back then.
Yeah. I mean, it was the country itself was consolidated, but it was like much more frontierish almost with how much violence there was, both on the coast and inland, as a result of just the chaos being caused. And so both Nox and Anna would know that. certainly.
He saw some shit if he was a soldier.
And also though,
we...
actually, Elwyn also. I think I have this in your notes or like the handout I gave you, but you also kind of like knew about that when you were growing up. That was going on. So everyone else, or the other two, wouldn't really know about this.
Do we know this guy's name yet?
No, but you can ask him. Do you wish to ask him?
I mean, I'm not going to ask him, but he'll be there.
All that I have in the stuff my character knows is some mention of northern raids.
Mm-hmm.
I pull out my shield and I say, I'm trying to think of the accent again.
Oh god.
Does this remind you of
And he like
your adventures?
he looks over at you, and it's like it actually seems like he's a little surprised because he takes it looks like he's taking his first good look at you. Maybe he didn't even realize you were an orc before, but in any case, he looks surprised at you. He looks you up and down a good couple seconds, then he looks at the shield, and he says, he like squints at it, stares, and he's like, and then his eyes go wide, and he says, "Oh my god, where did you find this?" And he comes over to you as quickly as he can and takes the shield out of, like grabs it, and like is staring.
I'm not letting go of the shield. He can hold on to it.
Yeah, he holds on to it and
I'm not
like
letting go.
Yeah, and he stares
Angles it at
it.
himself a little.
He stares at the emblem that's on it. Which for everyone else, I don't actually have like a handout or anything, but the it looks sort of like it's like an eagle sort of that is drawn in an art like a. It's not drawn in like a realistic way. It's drawn in almost like a more cartoony or just sketching way,
Yeah, I don't know if we ever went over whether that would have meant anything to my character in particular before.
No, probably not.
So yeah, I would just kind of lean over like.
Yeah, it's
you
like
know something about his shield.
Yeah, so there's the thing that I put or that is in the Discord now. That is what it looks like, except it's an eagle, not a raven, because that's like a raven. But the bird itself looks a little different. But maybe
that's kind of the basic design, anyways.
Yeah, that's the basic like art style, I guess.
But I would tell him, yeah, I got it from. How do I pronounce his name again?
Riker.
Right, Riker. He was
Riker.
He was the one that saved my life.
Riker, and he looks like stunned by this. I didn't think Riker was still alive.
Who is this Riker fellow?
He's not.
Yes, I'm wondering the same thing.
So Riker actually this dude, this old dude goes and sits down, and he like holds his head in his hands for a second. It's like, oh my god. And you guys can talk in the meantime, but it looks like he's recovering or something.
Do you maybe want to explain that, Ulf?
Riker's the one who found me on the beach after I washed ashore.
The sheep herder.
Yes.
I believe that was him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After you were eaten by a fish.
Yes.
And found God.
Wait.
Look.
And so.
Pick fun at me all you want about it, but it's all true.
The orc, or not the orc, the old man looks at you. Yeah, he's an orc now.
He's an orc
so many
now.
details we didn't know.
The old man, he looks up and he says, "You're telling me that he was a shepherd in his last years of life? Is he? I'm assuming he's gone now."
I mean, that's what I just said a few moments ago.
Did you?
I did.
I didn't hear that. Sorry. But yeah, he'll say. So instead he would say like
No,
he's
still in shock.
Instead he would say like, so he's gone now, like reconfirming, I guess. He'd be like, so he's gone now then.
Yeah.
Was he a friend of yours?
Yes. So well, I mean, back in the day we were almost rivals, but we fought together. We kind of had a thing for lots of the same woman, but no, we never turned on each other. We never turned on each other. We fought together. We were, in our hearts, we were companions, almost blood brothers. But
What's
yes.
your name?
My name is Mortimus.
I pull out Riker's war journal.
Okay, yeah, it's probably that.
And I, like, And I kind of look at him like, oh, you're that motive.
Yeah. And he's
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It goes both ways, I'd say.
Yeah. so he,
at least from Riker's point of view.
And someone he like chuckles a little. He's like, yeah, well, this is, wow, I was not expecting to hear anything about Riker ever again. I can't even remember the last time I've heard of him or saw him.
This is good. Bringing back old memories, perhaps from when you saw a stone like that one you have in your hand.
Oh, and then he's like, "Oh, yeah, the stone. Yes. No, maybe if I keep thinking back on this. Tell you what. Wait here 1 second." And he gets up and he starts, hobbling back to like the bedroom that's connected here. And he goes in there, and you hear like some clanking of like metal or something, and then eventually he comes back out, and he's holding in one hand, like sort of wrapped over his arm or like put over his arm, is what appears to be like some armor, some like studded leather armor, nothing too complex or anything. That's sort of like folded up or bunched up, and on the other hand, he's holding a sword that's in its sheath right now. And he comes over and he like puts these down on like a little table or something there, and he picks up the armor again, and with both hands he sort of like unfurls it, and displays it to you guys, and he says, and it looks like when he does that, dust like comes flying off of it. It's clearly not been worn in a very long time. But in the middle of it, there is, or sort of like on the chest, there is an insignia that is the same symbol, the eagle. And he points to it with one hand while holding it and says, "See, it's the same one as the one that you got on the shield and your armor too." And he points because now he's seen it, that you have it on your armor as well.
Is that the symbol of a local lord? I don't know if I recognize it.
No, this is... No, it goes back a ways. Well, not too long. Probably not as old as the stuff that the elves would remember, but it goes back to Yorton, one of the heroes of this area.
And how long back could that be?
Not again long for me, not for you, I'm assuming, but about 100 years ago.
Jeez.
This armor...
So when I was still a little girl.
Yes, and when I was... when my parents were little kids. Actually, I don't even think they were born yet. But this armor dates back to then. It was... Well, do you all know anything about Yorton?
Do
I?
Do I?
Do I?
I'm a bard.
Jack
and
definitely does. It's in your.
history.
It should be in your handout, Jack. What you know about?
Right. I think it is.
Yep. And also, though, actually, Anna would probably also know. Not nearly as much as Nox would probably.
Yeah, if it's more of a local thing, I wouldn't
it is
necessarily
more
know.
local.
But if it's something people sing about, I'd probably
Yes,
know.
you would know a little bit about it.
I would know the superficial songs. Probably.
So, yeah, you would know, like, the name Yorton. You know that he's, like, a hero, and that he's, like, a hero from this part, the northwestern, like, quadrant or quarter of the country. And you would know that he... So, I'll let Jack do, like, a little bit more in depth if he wants to. But basically, Anna, you would know that, he was, sort of like a, almost like a proto-nationalistic hero, sort of, in that he sort of like led the people of this area in like a struggle against like a bunch of Viking dudes that had raided, like a larger raid that was more like a war than just a simple raid. And then and then he was like supposedly backstabbed by the king after he did this and stuff. So he's sort of like a tragic hero. And I don't know. So Jack
People's
knows.
hero.
I think Jack knows a little more than that.
Would I know anything,
You-
considering I was alive at the time?
Probably not regarding this because it's more regional.
Far away and unimportant.
Yeah. But yeah. So Jack, I think I have quite a bit more than that even. Detail wise.
That's basically.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so he asked if you guys know anything. So Anna and Nox do.
Nox would say that like you can't really grow up in Alderland and not know.
So you're telling me that your armor and his gear are somehow related to this hero?
Ah, yes. Well, the armor was it belonged to some of the original followers of Yortan. This armor, while not the best, certainly has a more interesting history than most pieces of armor you'll find in the country or even in the continent. It's a piece of our history in armor form. Yes, when I served, I inherited the armor. I served with a group called the Protectors of Yortan, and we were the last of our kind, but we served as almost a militia patrolling the coast and fighting off raids and upholding the justice of the coast of Alderland, the northern coast.
Nox nods and says, "Your group may have fallen apart, but there's still others who do that today."
And he sort of like nods and says, I've heard of such groups, and I'm glad that they carry on the tradition. For while many of the northern raids have stopped and they're becoming more intermittent, there are plenty of dangers. But, in any case, yes, Riker, I can't believe that this has come up today. Well, you there, and so he like points at Ulf now. So you say you were saved by Riker,
At one point.
and he took care of you.
As I did to him.
Yes. I'd like you to have this then. And he reaches and picks up the sword, and he presents it to you. He says, I'd like you to have this then. Even if I was attacked, I don't think I have the strength to use it anymore. It's not gonna do me much good, and clearly if you helped Riker and Riker helped you, then he saw something in you. And you can use this blade better than I can. So he hands it over to you.
I'll grab it.
It is a long sword.
Another one? Okay.
Yeah.
Another one.
But and so do you like pull it out of the sheath to look at it? I'm assuming.
Yep.
Yeah. So it is very this blade, even though it is it's old, just like the other one, it doesn't look rusted at all. It looks actually quite in good shape, and it has like almost like a nice gleam to it, like a nice little shine to it. It honestly looks better than the most average blades, even though it hasn't seen use in a long time. And he says, such a beautiful blade. Do you mind if I show you something about it?
Certainly. And I, flip it around so he gets the handle
Mhm.
first.
And then he says, and could I use your kobold?
Use them for what?
Nothing that'll hurt him too much.
No. Don't go harming the kobold.
It's
I lean over to Mortimus, and
I'm
I
fine
say,
with it.
Mortimer,
You see, I'm not.
It is Mortimus in chat, so that's what is going on.
Mm-hmm. It's a Mortimus.
I lean over to him and I say, yeah, they're a little protective of the Kobo. I wouldn't suggest doing anything to him.
I promise he will not be hurt. I literally just need a drop of his blood.
Anna will look at the kobold.
Yeah.
Would you like to volunteer a drop of your blood to this man?
He spits at your feet.
All right.
Anna
pulls out her dagger and says, "That would my blood do?"
No, it must be his. I could try it on you if you'd like. Just a prick.
I look back at the kobold like, how about a silver piece for a drop of blood?
And Grizzles, he's like, it's like he was like facing away. He sort of like slowly turns back, and he's like, fine, and he gets a little excited actually.
All right, I hand him a silver piece and my dagger, and kind of motion for him to prick himself and hand the dagger back.
And so Mortimus intervenes. He's like, no, I think you don't understand. I have to prick him with this blade.
All right, you're gonna have to ask our friend here then.
And Grizzle is like,
I guess for the silver.
All right, I'll give him his silver piece and step back then.
all right. And so Grizzles like goes over, or like he sort of just stands there, but he holds out his hand, and Mortimus comes over and he grabs the kobold's hand with his and takes the sword with his other hand and sort of just very slowly and pretty gently, actually, he doesn't even like slash or anything. He just comes in and just does a little poke on the kobold's hand on his palm, and blood is drawn. And you guys can tell that blood is drawn because immediately when he does this, then the blade it actually begins to shine. It shines light out from it, like just like white light, clear light, and then he holds it up and Mortimus holds it up like he's examining it and says like, yes, it still works. And
what on earth is it doing?
and he looks at you and says, well, this blade is called the North Guard, and it is the blade I used when I fought, and it has a certain power to it. When it draws the blood, any amount of blood from something that is evil in its heart, and then it lights up like this. And just out of character, so you guys know how much light it is. It's like if you were to stify it, you put it in stats, it literally is like the same as a torch, functionally. So it's a good bit of light. It could light up a dark space. It's not just like a dim glow.
Evil, you say, and Ada starts laughing. Good thing you didn't poke me then.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I didn't want to.
Why would it have glown?
Nah.
I say, raising an eyebrow at you.
Who knows?
One way to find out.
No, it's actually. Sorry, I should have said it's actually North Guard, like a guard, like the guard of the North. But Well, anyway, so he says,
You heard that, Grizzles? He says you're evil.
And Grizzle says, not evil enough.
I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. Well, we'll see.
So it glows with the brightness of a torch when evil blood is put on it?
Yeah, well, specifically when it draws blood from something that is evil.
So you have to poke the evil thing.
Yeah.
Blood on it.
So we just have to keep having the kobold with us and poke him with the magic sword.
Mm-hmm. And then
have an infinite torch.
I kind of.
Oh god, that's something you got to do. Think about that's
sadistic. Glow when you get
sadistic.
stabbed by it.
Oh my god. So so then he holds it up. He's holding it up. Mortimus is, and then he actually whispers something to it. He goes, and then it
Wait, what?
yeah, and then it goes out. The light goes out. And actually, none of you guys could understand what he said.
It was loud enough to hear, but we couldn't understand it.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though I had comprehend languages on.
Did you still have it on?
Has it
How
been
long
less
is
than
left?
an hour since we were talking
Oh,
to
yeah.
Boy out in the...
Yeah.
I believe it's an hour duration. Yeah, I wouldn't have
I have
canceled it for
quite
any
a
reason.
few languages.
Yeah, you don't know it. But with the comprehend language, though, I guess you would.
If it's a normal language, I believe it
Yeah.
just... I can understand.
Do you get to know what language it is, though? You just
No.
or do you just understand it?
Yeah, I don't think
Understands it
so.
as a language that he can understand.
Okay. So
Whichever one he is most familiar with.
yeah, so you understand what it's saying, and it says like he says something along the lines of like something along the lines of like for Yorton or something like that. Some I can think of an exact thing. It probably wouldn't even necessarily translate one to one, but that's the gist of it. That's the meaning. It's
Yeah, I'd
Yeah, you only
probably
get to the
mumble and
literal
comment
meaning.
whatever the rough
Yeah.
translation is, and afterwards say, "What language is that?"
well, it's the old northern tongue. No one speaks that anymore. I don't even speak it. I just know the phrases we are taught.
Yes, I don't recall ever hearing anyone speak it before.
Well, that's because hardly anyone does. Sometimes
say-
you'll.
Nox, you still have that book that we got from the monastery, don't you?
She didn't take it. Someone else took it.
I think someone else took it. Yeah.
She has her magical book.
Oh, then I must have.
Unwritable.
Also,
I think
we
you took
had
it.
looked at it with comprehend languages, and it was
I think-
indecipherable mostly anyway. So
If Nox didn't take it, then I took it.
Yeah, probably.
And I just didn't write it down.
Elwin copied it down with like
I-
charcoal or some shit.
No, she couldn't. She
Yeah, I couldn't because I couldn't write on the other book.
Oh, I was thinking. Okay, yeah. So Elwin has it done.
Yeah, you took it. I'm pretty sure.
we can just say you stuck it in your book somewhere.
So Elowen, you have that, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to pull it out and hand it to him and say, does this look like the old northern tongue?
And so he opens it to like the first page and he goes, why, yes, but this is rare to find something like this in written form.
Can you read it?
Nox interrupts them and says, "You said you remembered seeing the stone. We found one of the stones with this book."
Oh my. And so you can tell that he's actually like reading, or at least trying to read, and he starts like.
Can you read it?
He doesn't even like pay attention to you. He actually just keeps looking at it.
Didn't you say this was written in some kind of code
Oh, this is.
to Elwin? Since
It
she had
must
tried
have
reading
been.
it earlier with comprehend languages, I believe, right?
It
I
must have been.
cannot believe this. This is the old northern tongue, but I can't read it, but I understand a symbol or two here and there, and
The order, perhaps?
what? No, but I understand this one. And he points to a specific like part on one page. Doesn't really matter. But he points to a specific part of the page, and Elwin, looking at it, he's pointing to the rune or whatever that comes right after one of those the order things.
Oh, and what does that mean?
So if I look at it with comprehend languages on, is it written language? I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, it does do written languages.
You have to
So
be-
I'd probably understand the order
You have
like
to be
Elwin
touching
did,
it.
and then he's pointing at something after that.
Yeah, he's pointing at something after that, and he says, "This." It says, "Dalrim."
I don't know what that means.
I'll put that in chat. Dalrim. Yes, and he looks to you. Elwin, and in his eyes is like fear. Like this dude looks like he is about to flip out. That's how afraid he looks.
Is that something bad?
The Order of Dalrim. This. Oh.
Am I familiar with that?
Yeah, now that if he's saying it in common now, are we like understanding what that
Well,
is?
actually, yeah, I should say. So immediately when he says Dalrim, then Kragos, then Anna, who's like still looking at this. Immediately, she could see before, like where it said the order, it sort of like pops out, as being understandable, or whatever. It's not, necessarily that simple, but now the words Dalrim are coming after it, and again, it's sort of actually literally translates like the order of Dalrim, but it's it's not necessarily represented the same way in writing, but yeah. So it says, it actually, the moment he says Dalrim, then you can read that it says Dalrim, almost like it has become known to you,
Huh.
So that happens while he's like saying what he said after that.
Do I know what Dalrim is?
You guys,
the order of Dalrim.
Do I?
You guys can all roll history checks for me.
Bam. All these bad rolls.
Aha! I'm history boy, even with my +2.
I'm the one
good
who's
with a
actually
-1.
read stuff, and I know nothing.
Yeah, I
about
rolled a
anything.
16.
So-
You rolled a 13.
None of you know anything.
Oh, Jesus.
Dalrim. What do you know of this order, sir?
The Order was one of our enemies. Our deadliest enemy. They were the... this is bad.
Did they have anything to do with draconic creatures?
Draconic creatures?
Yes, this one says that his father has some association with the ones that carry these stones around.
I don't think so, but essentially the Order is a group of, at least it was, a group of people who wanted to bring back Dalrim.
And what is Dalrim?
That's the thing.
Refresh my memory, Mortimus. What was the name of the corrupted god that Jortun defeated?
Oh, no, I have to go look. Hold on
Ha
a second.
Get Lord.
I know I have it somewhere, I just gotta find it. It wasn't Dalrim, though, I know that. But I don't remember what it was. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
So the Order of Dalrim is trying to bring Dalrim back, whatever that is, and suddenly there's now hobgoblins and draconic things trying to
It would
do something to do
be...
with them. Oh, and apparently, bird boys. Just getting weird, man.
I know I have this somewhere.
Find it later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Basically,
It's not Dalrim.
it's not Dalrim, though. It's, in fact, that's part of the reason you guys have never heard of it, because Dalrim is not, like, a deity or a god or anything.
Get out.
Excuse me?
At least not one that you know.
Dalrim what?
Oh, yeah, so, Dalrim, you guys, none of you have ever heard of Dalrim, so you're pretty sure that he's not, like, a god or a deity, necessarily. At least one that is known
one.
of. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so at the very least that. Yeah, it doesn't matter what the name is, I'll have to look, but no, Dalrim is not that god.
They're trying to bring back Dalrim? You said? What Dalrim?
That's part of what always scared us when we were trying to prevent them, is that we never knew exactly what he was. Just that if he were to be brought back, it would mean death for many.
So they were more cultists, you would say.
Something like that, and that was another thing that scared us. When me and Riker, when we fought off raids, and whenever we found information about the Order of Dalrim, we would try to pursue it, but it always just ended with dead ends, towns that had someone connected, and that person disappears the day before we get there. stuff like that. Always one step behind them.
Did magic users disappear in relation to this group?
Not that I can remember. It was more of like heists on libraries, break-ins, looking for tomes such as this one that are so rare.
So, can you read this text?
I cannot read much more than that. I just know that this says Dalrim, and the only reason I know that is because that symbol is etched into my mind.
Do you know of anyone that knows the old language that might be able to decipher this?
Not anyone that can read it. I think those that can read it have been dead. At least in Alderland have been dead. At least since Yorton's time.
Would I know about anyone from back home that might speak this language?
Almost certainly not.
It's a local. It's an local dead language, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, and it's
also a coded book in that language.
The way the guy worded it made it sound like there might be people outside of. Here
yeah, actually, he
might
did. There are people outside of here. Do you want to ask him about that? Like, 'cause he can tell you. So,
I mean,
like,
obviously.
Yeah. So if you
we're
ask
basically
him,
fishing for who would possibly know this language.
So you asked him,
be able to then decipher it, maybe.
So you asked him, like, are there any people like outside of here, like from where I'm from, or describing briefly where that is? He'd be like, when you ask that, he'd be like, most of those who do speak the old northern tongue are in either the Northern Isle to the north of here, or in the Northlands where the language originated across the sea. It was brought here by invaders, by raiders and the like, and it died out with their real influence. But where they still are, it is still spoken.
Perhaps we could have this text sent off by the wizard to somebody that could translate this for us.
Yes, if you are able, you may be interested in coming with us to Snowfeld to meet with Therible. You may be compensated for your help.
I don't really need any compensation. I don't think I really need much in life, just as long as I can relax here in my final years.
So be it.
And I honestly don't think I could help much more. If this Therible, this wizard, if he is wise, then perhaps he'll be able to make use of what I've told you.
We can hope.
But I really have no
know how
more.
much you know about wizards, but we tend to be intelligent, not wise.
Whatever.
Fucking wrecked. I think the only wise boy we have would be the monk.
Yeah.
So he's like, but regardless, this blade is yours now. It comes with no obligations. I would not ask anything of you. Seems like you have already done enough in helping Riker with his last months. But just if I could ask one favor of you in return for the blade. If you find this order, that you murder every last one of them. They are, if they are the same as they were then, they are evil, and they cannot be allowed to continue. This is directed at Matt, at Ulf.
And it's just kind of rubbing your chin like, why is an order from decades ago running around with kobolds and hobgoblins with rounded stones abducting magic users?
Why are we running around with a half-orc, an elf, and a birdman?
And a kobold.
Because I was asked to by Therible.
Do I really look like a half-orc?
Oh, sorry, an orc.
Well, frankly, we kind of fell ass backwards into the situation.
Them just making allies of convenience.
So Mortimus, he will say like, oh, and yes, with the stones, I do remember a little bit now. This has brought some stuff back, but I know that these are related to Dalrum somehow, but I don't think that they are any sort of relic. If anything, I think they are. I don't even remember how it came up, but I think this material was something that I saw used as a tool or an item or something in one of our short confrontations with the
Some sort
dog.
of reagent.
I do not know, but I would be careful with it.
They are used to make people afraid.
Interesting. Well,
Though
Should we...
we haven't experimented yet.
Should we shatter one, perhaps?
Maybe not in here.
I would not recommend messing around with anything that relating to the Order of Dalrum.
Well,
They're full of...
That other time it glowed red. Perhaps we can just throw it into the distance. Probably not near these folk in case it has some sort of tracking function.
But yes, we say, I'm sorry, I can't provide more, but this, yes, just be careful with this. I know not what it does, just that it serves the Order and their purposes somehow.
I suppose if that is all that you know, we should probably leave before we attract any more unwanted attention to your doorstep.
I'm going to pull out Raker's sword and ask him, do you remember if Riker's sword had any special abilities like the ones yours has?
And he'll say, and he sort of like thinks off to himself for a second, again, sort of like reminiscing in his head, and you can imagine. But then he turns and he actually walks like closer to you, and he'll take it from you if you let him. And he says, and he like pulls it out of the sheath or whatever. I don't know if it's sheath, but he looks at it.
I pulled it out of the sheath.
Okay, yeah. So he'll take it and look at it. He says, if I remember, I don't think that Riker. I don't think that his sword had anything, but his armor. And he like looks right at your chest, at your armor that you have on, and he says, I think there was something about it, but I can't remember what. Maybe eventually it'll become relevant.
You're wearing magical armor.
Apparently.
And he's Mortimer says, I don't even remember what it does or what it did. I just remember that he always cherished his armor more than any weapon.
Maybe the wizard would be able to have a look at it to determine what it's supposed to do.
Probably. We'll see what happens.
Along with these stones. Got all kinds of clues.
No kidding.
So, you guys can cut this off whenever you want, and say that you leave. But if you have any other questions,
yet to finish our tea.
Yeah.
And mechanics-wise, our short rest.
Oh yeah. I mean, you've already been here like half
Song
an
of
hour,
Rest
maybe.
at some point
So
during this,
yeah.
so
Yeah,
people
so
get that their hit dice if they desire and heal more if they do so.
Yeah. Do you guys?
I would like to use one of my hit dice.
Yeah,
do I do it with my con?
Oh shoot! I don't know what my
Hit dice are
health was
just hit
at.
dice.
Yeah, they're
As
just
far as I
dice.
remember. But add another D6 if you heal some way during this, because of Song of Rest.
My current hit points is blank. I don't remember what I was at.
Oh.
Wow.
What?
Boy.
You're above 1.
I can tell you. Hold on.
I-
You had 14.
Okay.
And during our short rest, I'm going to use Arcane Recovery.
Okay. Yeah. So
keep in mind, hit dice work. You regain half rounded down of your hit dice. So if you only use one, you'll get one back tomorrow after you sleep.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so what else did I need to roll?
You can, if you heal by any means during this short rest, I use Song of Rest, so you can heal another D6.
Oh, well.
But also, are hit dice supposed to be with the mod? I don't think so. Are they?
Well, it's just what the hit dice button does,
Yeah,
so I'm
they
going to
roll
assume
automatically.
with the mod.
Ah, okay, so I guess they are.
I'm back.
Yeah, unless roll 20 is like wrong again.
so
That's wrong.
do you
It's a Constitution
But you can,
mod.
like I said, you can only use the D6 if you heal by other means.
So I don't know. Do you guys like out of character? You know, you can just tell me if you have any like other questions at all, and I can tell you if this guy has an answer or not. You know.
I imagine the entire time I'm sitting there with, during the rest of our time there, I'm sitting there with Mortimus and talking to him about Riker, and then like going through the war journal and
Yeah, and he'll sort of
listening to stories.
Yeah, he'll reminisce about it, and like sort of tell you some of the stories that he gets reminded of by some of like the entries in the journal about certain battles, like big battles that they had. Like there's one, you know, that he tells you like a story, and I'm assuming the rest of you guys, at least some of you, would be interested in listening as well. So he sort of like tells the stories.
As a bard, I would enjoy stories. Yes.
Yeah, and so and actually. One of them, he actually talks about this major war that happened where the whole kingdom was united against this big invasion of like, you know, Viking raider type archetypes, you know, dudes against a large invasion force. There was this big war, and actually Anna and Nox have both heard like a song about this, and he was actually there. This isn't, you know, like again like 50 years ago, 45 years ago, in the climax of the.
Are you talking
war
about
song.
the Northern Raids?
Yes, I helped fend off quite a few.
I think I remember hearing something about that during my childhood.
And where are you from?
Well, where am I from originally, or where I've been most of my life?
Originally, where'd you grow up?
I think it was called Fardolith.
Yep, Fardolith. He's like,
I can't see big map.
Fardolith. I was actually there a couple times.
And then I think I went to Seldont or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And then I went to Selk.
Mm-hmm.
Then I came here.
And
So you've traveled in your younger years.
Well, when I was
Not you.
really
Talking to the
small,
old man.
I'm going to say this anyway. Yeah,
I'm
when I
ignoring you.
was really small, I got recognized for my arcane talents by Theravul, and he took me to Seldont.
when you
where he taught me
say
the basics of magic.
when you say arcane talents, the kobold like snickers.
I am going to just hold up my hand, and lightning is just going to arc through my fingers.
Oh no!
And I'm
you don't
not
attack
going
him or
to
anything?
actually hit him.
Okay. that's pretty. He like goes you know, and like sort of shoots up. Where
But just like between each of my fingers is like a Jacob's ladder.
I gotcha.
I'm going to snap my fingers and make what looks like an owl appear on Elowin's shoulder.
I'm going to snap my fingers and make an actual owl appear on my shoulder. My other one.
Yeah, so you have
Are
two
we-
owls now.
Oh, are we having a pissing contest now?
I'll show you.
Please, no.
I'll show you a pissing contest. Get me some beer.
And so so you guys hear some stories though about these like wars and battles that he took part in when he was younger. You find out he's actually like in his 80s. he's real old, you know. He actually looks better. Like now that you find out that he's like in his 80s, he actually looks better than
Yeah, when he
good for his age.
like brings up how old he is, Anna would whistle like, God.
Yeah, and
I'm twice
I can
your
count on my
age.
hands the number of people I've met that are that old.
I'm twice
Among
your age,
humans.
sir.
and he chuckles and says something along the lines of like, like, ah, yes, but elves,
Hasn't nearly been as eventful as yours, it seems.
yes, elves,
You need to get out more.
elves oftentimes find themselves in complacency, and their wisdom takes proportionally longer to find. No, not that I'm wise. I've just seen a
you're
lot of
old.
war.
Wisdom comes with age, so I'm sure you have plenty.
And so he like sort of nods and thanks. But yeah, so he tells you some stories. So yeah, so like I said, he tells that one about like that war that you guys have heard of, and maybe have songs about that you know. And then he talks about other stuff that you guys have never heard of, like battles. He talks about how like one time they got in a fight with a bunch of like giants and stuff defending a town with his his group, with the what was it called, the Protectors of Yorton, and yeah, so he tells you all these stories. Some of it is stuff that you guys could even make your own songs out of if you want. But yeah. All right. So after you guys rest for a while and hang out and relax, it's like late afternoon now. The sun is starting to dip. But Snowfell is only 2 hours away, so I'm assuming you guys hit the road and.
Yeah, if we can get there by evening, we should be able to talk to the wizard before he goes to bed.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yep.
Get back
So.
moving in.
Yep. So you guys. So you guys hit the road. You say goodbye to Aaron and Mortimus, and he sort of like, he kind of like leaves you guys each with an individual like sort of message or something, like saying like you remind me of this companion who did this, and I think you'll carry on their legacy now with you, stuff like that, sentimental stuff that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but means something to him. And so then eventually, and then they thank you again for saving his daughter's life, and you guys go on your merry way. As you guys are walking along the road, again, like I said, it's a couple hours away. So Kass is flying in the sky, I'm assuming.
I've got both swords
SirPurplex?
style on my back.
Yeah.
All right. So you're flying
I
around.
basically assume that forever.
Yeah, no, I got you. Eventually though, as you guys are going along, maybe another 30 minutes or 45 minutes go by once you guys are back on the road, and then you see coming towards you in the sky a familiar figure. Another Avriel. Avriel. It is
Nox. So a longbow.
We wouldn't see
Nox.
this.
Oh, you said
it's far
you guys,
away.
didn't you?
No, yeah, just Kass for now. But Kass
Okay,
recognizes
cool. Never mind.
that this
By the way,
is-
when we were leaving the house, I would have probably talked to what's his face, Grizzles, and told him if he's willing to cooperate with us and perhaps become a companion at some point, I won't tie his hands anymore. I'm basically going to try and convince him to work with us.
Boy's got to stop spitting there.
right now,
Yeah.
he doesn't take you up on that. He actually kind of like says, like, why would it ever work for
Spits at
you? And then he tells you that if he was let free, he would slit your throat in your sleep.
Wow, so rude. I guess I'll tie his hands.
Yeah.
I'll basically be like, if you
He
defeat your
shrugged.
father and prove how strong you are, perhaps you could establish a kobold settlement somewhere.
He actually looks like he's a little interested. Like that idea takes him off guard. He's like, oh, and then he's like, no. And it seems like he's almost just saying no just to be contrarian. But he
Plant the seed.
but yeah. So anyway, so you recognize this bird, this Avriel, though, Kass. It is your monk dude. I don't actually know his name because you had come up with it. What was his name?
His name is Saya.
Saya. Okay. And he will say.
So much backstory.
He will say. Also, he comes like within speaking distance, like flying towards you, and he flies up alongside you. So you guys are like soaring alongside each other. and the rest of the group might not even like notice this. But he comes up to you and he says, "What
up, friend?"
He says, "Kass, you have done well. I am here to tell you that you have completed your second trial." And
Really?
yes, actually, hold on one second. I have to
I
pull.
feel like I haven't even done anything.
Hold on, I have to pull up your.
That's just how good you
That's
are.
right.
It was effortless.
Hold on. Hold on. I gotta pull up where I wrote the stuff down. So he says, you have completed the trial of the Zephyr Wind. You have learned to work with the group and temper your own wishes in return for finding safety with your companions and fighting for their safety. And while this means you do not need to, perhaps with the coming trials you will find it better to have companions. Do you wish to know Do you wish to continue and know your next trial?
I mean, yeah. Hopefully there's a little bit more direction than the trial that I was just on.
The trial is not about what you do. It is about how you do it.
I see.
Mm-hmm. Very well. Your next trial, the third trial out of 5, is the trial of the Mountain Rock. A rock.
Trial of the Mountain Rock.
A rock may seem a strange thing to be the object of a trial in a monastic order devoted to the wind goddess.
Yeah, only a little bit odd, but I don't question my goddess.
Yes, and the reason it is such is that while wind is that element which we follow, and the other elements are just as important, and they must learn to work together, just as you have learned to work with your companions. And the trial of the Mountain Rock will teach you about the qualities that are most valued in those who follow the god of the earth. Because it is only by understanding the qualities that others have that you can improve on yourself. And this trial will involve you standing strong, just like a rock.
Like a rock.
Standing strong and fearless in the face of danger.
Taken back to those old Ford commercials.
And if you do this, then you will... If you will do this, then you will complete the trial.
Well, I appreciate your guidance.
and he nods and he says, just because, he says, that is all I can tell you about this trial for now, but I would just say as a piece of personal advice, just because you can fly away easily, being an Ivriel like myself, doesn't mean you always should. And with that, he starts to fly away. Right?
Okay.
Okay. So, and then he flies away, and he goes off in the distance and disappears. And yeah, so you guys are traveling together. I don't know, do you guys like talk about anything on the way or anything?
I'm probably going to ask Nox where she first learned magic.
Nox doesn't really say anything for a bit, and then says, "The first time I remember using magic, day my," and she doesn't say anything else.
The day or what?
You
Her
cut out
husband
there.
died.
Okay.
I imagine most of the trip, Ada's probably distracted trying to buddy up to the kobold a little bit.
And after you say that, I'm just going to go quiet, and I'm not going to talk for the rest of the trip. Because I feel bad.
Since when has Elowen ever felt bad?
So,
Elowen's not immoral, unlike
like someone. Yeah. So yeah. So
She's just socially awkward.
so you guys you guys go ahead and you make your way back to Snowfeld, and that is where we're going to end tonight, because otherwise we will be going, we'll get into more stuff.
Literally forever.
Yeah.
I'm like.
I think it's a good point to end. We
So
could have the
we'll
stuff
do
with
the-
Darable, but we'll do that next time. It'll be a
We'll
fresh.
open with the mage next session.
Yeah, he's a wizard, a royal wizard even. I'm just messing.
Wizard.
But yeah,
That's why
so
I got a shiny new sword.
oh yes, I actually have to tell you. So, so you would have to attune yourself with it, which I'm assuming you would do at some point in time. It doesn't matter when.
Yeah.
You're gonna.
Yeah, all it takes is an hour. So.
Yes, yeah, yeah. We'll say that you do that whenever.
There is one thing about attunement to take note of. If you attune to something, you just automatically learn how to use it.
Yes,
so his
yes.
if his armor is magical,
that is.
he
so
either
that's-
has not ever attempted to attune to it, or it's not an attuned item.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Orc Boy put that together in his head or not.
I actually don't know if it would be attuned. I have to figure that out.
Is
boy has
attunement
literal plot armor.
So let's
is-
see. What do you do?
Is attunement
Yeah,
a
what are you
common
doing?
concept where you're like,
I don't know.
oh yeah,
So let's focus on the sword. So the sword, it's a +1 sword. it is a +1 sword. So that's one thing. So it's better than your
Jesus.
it's better than your sword, and it does have that feature where it will light up if it draws blood. Basically, if it does any damage at all.
if you poke anything that's evil,
Yeah, it will
Any kind of evil.
It will glow with the same light as a torch, and that lasts for an hour. You can use a bonus action and say that phrase, say like for Yorton or something. It doesn't really matter the details. You can figure out something cooler to say.
you can try attuning to your armor now that you know how attunement works
And-
from him showing you, presumably.
And yeah, so you can use a bonus action to make that light go out before that hour is up. So anyway, so that's what that sword does, and it's called the Northguard again. But the armor. So actually, hold on. I am looking at the section on attunement. Hold on.
So now we're just in the bookkeeping section.
Yep.
Basically.
Presumably, this is going to get cut out of the VOD.
No. It's the best part of the
Never. Just leave it all.
Leave it out.
Quick, somebody start using racial slurs.
Why?
No, let's not.
Ruin
do
the
that.
VOD. Ruin everything.
Let's not. do
Damn
that.
drow.
Oh wow.
Oh my god.
How could you?
You've gone too far.
I
That
know.
word doesn't even exist in this world.
Hold on.
I
They're
know.
mountain elves. They're just really tan because it's like there's no atmosphere in the mountaintops, so they just get really tan.
There's no atmosphere, so they don't have to breathe air. You can just live in space.
Yeah.
They're just so high that there's like
Yeah.
no atmosphere at all. That's how mountains work in this world.
Yeah, the mountains just peek out of the atmosphere.
Oh, boy. Okay. So it's still
I
D8.
suppose that could be possible if there was a planet with a really thin atmosphere
Mm-hmm.
So it gets plus
or really big mountain.
1 to attack rolls and damage.
The world is just
Uh,
one big
You can
mountain.
just drag a +1 longsword from you.
Yeah.
I already wrote in everything for
This boy already getting magic items.
Hey,
it's just a
I'm getting a
plus-
kobold, buddy.
He
It's fair.
started with a magic item actually, so you should have said.
I didn't know I had a magic item, but
I
Okay.
mean, Your orc didn't know.
So the
I didn't know either.
the armor is
I knew it was special, but I didn't know why it
the
was
armor
special.
is unfortunately for you. It's not a +1, but it does have a bonus associated with it. So yeah, it does require. I'm going to determine that it will require attunement. What it does is, it is a armor with which crits against you don't roll crit damage. They only roll normal damage.
So it's adamantine.
I don't know. Is that what
Adamantium makes crits into normal hits.
Okay, yeah. Then that is what it
doesn't
does.
require attunement because it's not magic. It's just a special move.
You can decide it's magic, which
No,
is basically just a straight nerf.
This one is not
It is just
adamantine.
strictly
It's just
worse.
normal armor, and so it will require.
It's normal armor imbued with that.
Yes,
effect.
exactly. Yeah, so it will
Does
require
it
attunement.
require attunement?
Yeah,
It does.
yeah. I'm gonna say it will.
So it has two downsides. It's an attunement slot, and it can be suppressed by dispel magic. I think temporarily. I can't
And
remember.
anti-magic
Dispel
field.
magic.
Anti-magic field. I don't think dispel magic can do.
I know there's certain magical effects that will suppress magical items temporarily.
Anti-magic field will do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
So that's a fringe situation that might
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah,
come
it
up.
is-
Anti-magic field would make me squishier.
It would make you extremely impotent because you are all.
I could
magic.
still jab stuff with my rapier. I'm still pretty good at that.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
anyways,
I guess you keep the internal bonuses to like
Okay,
intellect
I
on
got
stuff.
that written down.
So that is what you got from that. And
That's a weird thing about magical fields. There's so many things that are magical like or magic, but
why-
not spells, and magical like abilities.
That's why you should just watch the video on the D&D channel about anti-magic zone.
Well-
he talks about what does.
We'll have to know what anti-magic zones do if we ever fight a beholder.
So yeah, I think that'll be a good place to end the stream here. Well, actually, I might continue streaming, but I'd have to switch over to my computer and stuff. But I don't know. I was thinking. I think I might buy Factorio and play that on stream. But I don't know. I'll talk to Alexis, my advisor, in chat.
Actually, the most boring game in the world. You don't want to watch Alexis.
But anyway, but that will do it for the.
Alexis.
Basically, do you want to see poorly rendered conveyor belts everywhere?
But that'll do it for the stream though. So if you're watching on YouTube, hopefully you liked this session, and please leave a like if you did enjoy it. And yeah, the first session got pretty decent views, more than I was expecting.
If you want to see more content like this, make sure you hit that notification bell. This is where you ring your bell, Dreg.
Yeah, let's go. But yeah, no. So
Too much ringing. Too much
God.
ringing. Too much. Kill it.
So-
Come over to my Twitch
Never-
channel, PoetryStud Gaming. and
Yeah,
watch
definitely do
on
that.
Fridays.
Don't forget to check me out on Instagram, Twitter,
I don't have Instagram.
and MySpace.
Pornhub.
Facebook.
Poetry Stud Gaming everywhere.
Stalk me on Reddit.
Also follow me.
Go follow my
at-
red tube.
All right. We're ending the stream now. So we'll see you guys next week. Bye bye.